It's 3 a.m., and the house is quiet except for one question that won't go away. Is God even real? You whisper it like a confession. Or maybe you don't whisper at all. You just stare at the ceiling and feel the long, slow tilt of your life asking for direction. If that sentence landed in your chest, type faith in the comments. Stay with me for a few minutes. I'm not here to preach at you. I'm here to point out 7 signs, practical, historical, personal, that many people have noticed when God seems to be confirming their life direction. These are not proofs that force belief. They are invitations to pay attention. Sign 1. The book that shouldn't exist. Look at the facts. 66 books written by around 40 different people, across more than 1,000 years, yet you can trace a single unfolding story through its pages. That coherence is unusual. Scholars have long noticed how themes, creation, fall, exile, restoration, thread through writers who never met. The pattern here says something. It suggests design rather than accident. Ask yourself, have you seen a consistency in your life? A thread that keeps pulling you back to the same longing? If so, could that be more than coincidence? Sign 2. Survival against empires. Empires rise and fall. Rulers try to erase what they fear. Yet the book that many call the Bible has outlived kings, emperors, and ideological waves that promised final answers. From Rome to Napoleon, from communist regimes to cultural tides that dismiss the sacred, this text has kept turning pages in human hands. That endurance doesn't prove everything, but it is a historical pattern worth noticing. When you look at your own troubles, and you see something that refuses to die inside you, hope, a conscience, a pull toward meaning, could that be evidence that you're being guided away from merely human answers? Sign 3. Prophetic threads that read like history. Some passages in the scriptures point forward in ways that later history appears to echo. Think of ancient references that align with events like great cities falling or people returning to their land. One widely observed moment in the 20th century was the re-establishment of Israel in 1948, an event many point to as remarkable in light of the Bible's long narrative about nations in exile. This isn't an attempt to force every prophecy into a tidy box. It's an observation that, in several cases, the arc of history seems to intersect with ancient words in surprising ways. Are there moments in your own story where a word, a promise, or a phrase showed up at the exact time you needed it? Sign 4. Timeless diagnosis of the human heart. Open Proverbs or Ecclesiastes and you'll find descriptions of the human condition that read like psychology written before psychology existed. Proverbs warns of pride that precedes a fall. Ecclesiastes names the hollowness of chasing pleasure as ultimate meaning. These texts don't merely prescribe, they diagnose. They put a finger on patterns we all recognize: regret, the ache after success, the nausea of comparison. When Scripture speaks to the ache in you, it's often naming what your own life already confirms. Have you ever read a line that described you perfectly, like a mirror held up at the right angle? Sign 5. Repeated cross-cultural life change. People change, not always dramatically but often profoundly. There are thousands of testimonies across cultures: addicts who find a new identity, lonely people who find belonging, hardened cynics who learn to trust. I want to tell you about a man. Call him James because his story is ordinary, and it's also huge. James hit rock bottom. He slept on a church bench more than once. He carried shame, and a shame that seemed louder than hope. One night someone read a verse out loud, just one line, and it lodged in him. The pattern wasn't magic. It was a process. Community. A clear message that life could be different. Repeated help. And a decision to try something other than the old habits. Years later, James told me he didn't wake up a perfect person. He woke up a different person. The equation was simple: encounter plus decision plus patience. Have you seen small, steady changes in your life that point away from old patterns, even if nothing dramatic has happened yet? Sign 6. The call that feels personal. Scripture sometimes speaks not only in grand themes but in intimate sentences. I have called you by name. You are mine. Those words found in Isaiah and echoed elsewhere land like a hand on the shoulder. They address the loneliness that insists you're invisible. Many people report a sense of being known, an inner recognition that their life matters and that there's a direction beneath the chaos. This isn't about fame or success. It's about identity. Are you feeling more and more that your life fits into a pattern larger than your fears? Do you sense a calling, small, persistent, and strangely specific? Sign 7. The invitation works. The Bible isn't only a record or a set of propositions. It extends an invitation to relationship. Somewhere between skepticism and surrender is that simple, honest prayer. I believe. Help my unbelief. Those are the exact words a father spoke in the Gospel of Mark, admitting his doubt and asking for help. They model the posture that changes things, not because the words are magic, but because they name the truth. You are not required to have perfect faith to start. Honest prayer opens the door. Have you, in your own voice, ever tried something like that? If not, could you? All of these signs point in the same direction. Doubt is not the enemy of faith. It's often the threshold. The thing that looks like failure, late-night questions, the ache for more, can be the doorway to a life redirected. If you've felt those stirrings, you are not disqualified. You're at the start of something that many people have walked through. So what do you do next? Start small and honest. Bring your questions. Say the line you can manage, whether it's, I want to believe, or the old plain plea, I believe. Help my unbelief. Ask a friend to pray with you. Read a short passage, Proverbs for wisdom in the morning, or a psalm when your heart feels too loud. Join a local group that practices welcome more than certainty. The goal here is not instant perfection. The goal is direction. If what I said touched you, type faith in the comments so we can remember the moment together. And if someone you know is awake at 3 a.m. asking the same question, share this with them. If you want a short reading plan or a simple prayer to start, there's one link in the description that will walk you through a week of honest steps. One last thing before you go. Doubt may sit beside you for a while, but it doesn't have to be the room you live in forever. You are invited into a story that is larger than your fear, older than your doubt, and patient with your questions. Receive this as an offer, not an ultimatum. Receive this as a hand stretched out in the dark. I'll leave you with a line that has steadied many. I have called you by name. You are mine. Remember it. Let it be a lamp when the night is long,